All righty. As we said before, yes, it has been a weird week. And if you live on the same internet that I live on, you probably noticed that there was a lot of a lot of commotion, a lot of discussion this week about certain, let's just say, about somebody, meeting their untimely demise. All right. And listen, you want to go into the ins and out of all of that and whether it was warranted, whether it should have happened, this, that, the third. I didn't get it all that. Whether or not it happened as a conspiracy from the people on stage. What I want to talk about is how it impacted the release of Red Hood. Look, there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, the young man, the God forgive me. Don't even forgive me. It's hard. I'm finding it hard pressed to not call man a demon. All right. But it is strange to me because I see this as literally a direct impact of the hate that he put into motion. Let me walk this back a little bit. Let me do this, guys, because I'm about to go down a whole rabbit hole here. Okay, so things about to get a little crazy. So let me just take a step back, and before we get into where we are, which is with the comic book being canceled, let me walk this back just a tiny bit. So the reason why I'm hearing this has been canceled is because this young lady by the name of Gretchen Felker Martin, who is trans, did tweet after the events of this week that, she wasn't necessarily so, let me say it like this, wasn't necessarily so sad about whatever it was that took place. Okay. And she expressed that in a tweet that looked a little something like this. Thoughts and prayers, you not now. All right, before let me be clear for the record as well. I don't know for 100% fact that the actual tweet on the top is valid. I do know for a fact that the one at the bottom is valid. Now, as to what is real and what's not, I'll leave that for you to decide. But let's just say as a result of this, now the comic book has been canceled. So knowing this, to me, it's kind of strange because trying to tread that line, but I thought that this dude's whole thing was about free speech.
Now, only for certain people.
Well, yeah, free speech when it's not, necessarily there, to support your cause, right? So we're joined by, man, we got a whole panel today. Let me go ahead and bring everybody on into the convo real quick because I literally don't want to spend too much time on this, y'all. Like legit, like it's a whole thing. And shout out to everybody being here, man. But if I can keep it real with you, the thing that's most good morning, Yaz, good morning, Ty. Yo, Ty got the new background. That's what's good, man. You seen Alien Earth this week?
Of course.
Shit's crazy.
Right. We're gonna chat on that. Good morning, Yazzie. Good to see you. That's all back on the panel. Before we go too deep into this subject, my whole thing is not about what I don't want to get into the the hate and all of that because that's obvious. We all have our feelings. We all got all that, whatever. But the firing of this young lady or whatnot as a result of her tweet, I just want to know if this is warranted. Was DC so afraid? Where is the bar? All right, let me just go back here real quick, guys. Just follow me down this little bitty rabbit hole, okay? Just follow me if you can. So let me read this article for you real quick. So for those not in the know, shout out to the comment section. Following massive backlash, DC Comics has officially canceled trans writer Gretchen Felker Martin's Red Hood series after just one issue. The first issue was released on Wednesday, but DC has now pulled the plug on all future installments. This is from Cosmic News in an article by Matt McGloin written on September 11th, which was just a couple days ago. Okay. In a notice sent to comic book retailers, DC said DC Comics cancels existing orders for Red Hood 2 and 3 for any orders for future issues of the series. DC Comics will credit retailers for all invoiced copies of Red Hood, inclusive of copies that may have already been sold. Why was the series canceled? When asked by Popverse about the reasons behind the cancellation, DC Comics issued a broader statement. At DC Comics, we place the highest value on our creators and community and affirm the right to peaceful individual expression of personal viewpoints posts, or public comments that can be viewed as promoting hostility or violence are inconsistent with DC's standards of comments. The move follows backlash after Kirk Martin, who celebrated the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk on social media, which I would disagree with the way that that's being worded, because she really literally just gave a quirky comment. Felker, previously written on the story on Harley Quinn, DC announced her Red Hood ongoing series for mature readers. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was assassinated while hosting an event at Utah Valley University. He was shot on stage, and President confirmed his death. Okay, now, having said all of that, the thing that's messing me up, guys, is this is coming from the same DC universe that gave us a movie called The Flash, right? If I recall, in The Flash, there was a man named Ezra who had been arrested multiple times, once for slapping a chick at like a karaoke bar. Now, before you jump in the comic book world and the movie world, completely different, that's my question. Where's the bar? Where's the unanimity? I don't know if this feels, I don't know. It feels like fear of retaliation. And why is the fear of retaliation against those, in my opinion, that aren't the ones that commit the most atrocious acts? You know what? I hope the bullet's okay. That's what he gets fired for. I want to remind you guys that James Gunn was fired from Marvel. I want to remind you, he was fired from Marvel after having a hit movie called Guardians of the Galaxy, because he had a tweet that said, "Oh, my shower isn't working. It feels like a little boy's peeing on me." And he was fired. And now he's got a bunch of shows coming out, and he looked like he's going to do just fine. My question is, man, is the bar, the standard, being held up for the wrong people? And I get it. This is a company, not an individual. But at the same time, damn, this is not literally like something that if the thoughts and prayers you Nazi bitch, I ain't gonna lie, that part, that's a lot. All right, that's a bit of a lot. But I hope the bullet's okay. That does not seem to be that hard of a comment. That's more of I'm gonna bring you in, we're gonna push you to the back, you still gonna get your check. The comic book lives, but we may have to push back on your full frontal involvement, because there's a whole lot of other artists, writers, a lot of other folks that are associated with this project. And so this to be kind of like the standard that they're making, I don't necessarily know. Now, Nolly had some interesting comments. I'm not going to put you out there. I'm
just saying, it's crazy how silent he is about gun violence right now.
Oh.
But also, I think it's important to point out that only certain people are spared from cancel culture. White people first and foremost, white men first and foremost. Anyone in a marginalized community is always going to get the shit end of the stick when it comes to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech only applies to certain people. And that's it. Like, it's crazy. Well, and it's wild too that like a company that produces superhero stories, where a lot of these stories are based on marginalized individuals, will not stand up for their marginalized writers for expressing freedom of speech. It's not like she incited a riot or told people that this is what needs to be done to other people like him. She just made a snarky comment just like everybody else. But he could say Black women are not capable of profound thoughts, and that's why they need to steal job opportunities from white men. And he was fine until he wasn't. Hated trans people so much, but he transitioned real quick. It's a lot. I don't condone violence, but I do understand that we are currently at a tipping point in America where there are two extremes right now. And unfortunately, we're at the spot, if you study history and you follow history, we're at a spot where a revolution is imminent. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're headed. So more of these events are going to happen because we're at the point where extremes are pushing people to extremes. And a lot of people are becoming radicalized, and some in a good way and some in not in a good way. And so while I don't condone violence, I'm not going to spend time showing empathy for a man who had no empathy for the hundreds of children that die at school every day because he said their deaths were worth it for gun ownership.
Yes. I honestly, there is a report. There's a guy, Tony Baker. Y'all are familiar with Tony Baker, right? Yeah, as you know what Tony Baker is. Tony Baker, he made a comment about this, and he got a little bit of backlash, as a lot of folks are, because for some reason they want us to empathize with the people that hate us. They want us to feel bad about people that would really literally stand over your grave and be like, that's what you get.
Why do we always have to be the bigger person?
We don't.
While looking at how history treated us, why do we have to be the bigger people? Why?
It's unnecessary. We don't. And I think that this thing sums it up. This is a little long, but hang on with me for the ride, because I think it's well worth it. But just hang on with me just for a second, guys. We're gonna go down this little rabbit hole and we'll come right back.
So I got this DM this morning. He might have sent it last night. Maybe it came in this morning. But this is in regards to a post I put up in my story regarding the Charlie Kirk incident. And this is what this person said. As you can see, you're fucking sick. I pray for people like you, black people like you, easy the reason why the Democrats lost and won't win another election. You cry evil and mock someone's death because you don't agree with what he was saying, the truth about black culture and the rap music we glorify. I really looked up to and thought you were better than that. I pray for you, and it sucks I have to unfollow you. Here's the thing. Unfollow me, but please follow a grammar page of some sort. That's what I want for you in your life. I want you to follow a good grammar page that talks about punctuation and proper grammar. That's who I want you to follow instead of me. I will take the unfollow that you had to tell me about, and I really want you to follow a grammar and grammar pronunciation. I want you to follow those pages because I'm sure they're out there. You know what I'm saying? Out the gate with the you was already wrong out the gate. You know, regardless of the fact that, you know, you was mad at me because I just, you know, posted on my story about the irony of what Charlie was talking about and what ended up happening to him. And I'm not glorifying anything. I'm just showing the irony. And, you know, you can't force people to feel strong remorse and sympathy for people that won't extend you the same courtesy. Right?
That's the point.
You know, I don't like the fact that Charlie Kirk was murdered like that. I don't like that at all. But I honestly, in my heart of hearts, based on the things that he has said publicly, repeatedly, I don't think he would give a damn about me or anybody that looks like me if I was murdered. I honestly don't. That's how I feel. And so, you know, my condolences to his children. But I just, you know, I don't have like I can't be fake though either. So it's tough. But
it's not. But just to kind of close off on this subject, man, I don't know if y'all have any thoughts, Ty, Yaz, but I hope this isn't something that spirals us into something else, because I don't want to lose no more Red Hood comics. Like, I don't want to lose no more content over this. And I feel like they want this to be a catalyst, but I wore this for a reason. Like, a lot of the folks on here was murdered, all right? And when it happened, like, I'm gonna just say this real quick. My mom, one of the few things, you know, because black folks don't like to relive trauma, you know, so I remember like growing up trying to ask my grandma in Albany, Georgia, who grew up in racist Albany, Georgia, where Martin Luther King had to actually come and march. And And I used to try to get things out of her. I'm like, man, you face a lot of racism. Oh, baby, but hey, that was back then. Okay, but I asked my mom, who's of a different generation. She's like, yeah, they used to throw rocks at us. Oh, yeah, we used to have to take different routes on the way to school because they would make fun of us if we go down a certain street. Oh, yeah, we would have to make sure that we didn't go down a certain street riding our bikes. One thing specifically that I will never forget is my mom actually told me that she remembers what it was like to walk around after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, and how white folks would come to her face and be like, we got that nigga. We got him. What y'all gonna do now? What y'all gonna do now? This is no social media. They would go directly up into her face. And she's just one young lady in the little city of Dougherty County, Albany, Georgia. Can you imagine all the other little kids that now I know that's over 60 years ago or 50 years ago. All right, blah, blah, blah. But my point is, when your people that you look up to have something happen to them, that's your issue to deal with. Don't come over here asking us to feel the same way you do about your hero, because we don't. And don't get mad when we don't, because guess what? Not only free speech, but free thinking, ho. Like, that's just the way things work. So, yes, unfortunately, you guys are exposed to a social media culture that makes it so that you can see your peoples who don't agree with you's thoughts. It does not mean that you go pick up arms and go to FAMU or Howard University or Spelman because you feel like some black dude was literally a freaking sniper. You think you got John Stewart in real life over there worried about some dude at Utah? We got bills and things to worry about. Ain't nobody finna sit there and sit waiting for this man to put the microphone down. If we gonna do anything, it's gonna be boop, boop, bloop, bloop, let's drive by. It ain't finna be no, I'm finna sit here for 3 or 4 hours, wait for him to move his mic. So stop trying to involve us. And yes, if you feel bad, that's for you, not me. So you go ahead and hold that within your own self. And I hope that works out for you in the end, sitting there loving somebody who hates everybody else for being who they are. Any comments, guys? And let's move on to something happier. Nope. All right, let's go ahead and move right along.